2964, Ms.
There's some
Dykeman.
of
Yes.
you
Okay,
there.
we are going to open public
Thank
hearing on
you.
House Bill 2964. Would you like to tell us about the bill
Taking
and
pictures.
ask us about the representatives who are here
Love
to
it. Thank
testify?
you. Yes. Great.
We are all over the place today, but that was really engaging. That was fun.
Chair Wagner,
That's
members
every
of-
day in Senate Education, by the way. We did that.
Chair Wagner, members of the committee, House Bill 2964A requires ODE to partner with the Oregon State Lottery Commission to create a Oregon Education Support Professional of the Year program to honor and recognize educational support staff who demonstrate excellence in their field. It has a minimum fiscal impact and no revenue impact.
Representatives, hello again.
Can I go now?
No.
No,
No?
we've got to open through some other bills here. So unless you're out in the hall and we can come get you every couple minutes. These gentlemen have probably some testimony and then I've got to be able to gavel back through the agenda. So,
So I got constituents in my room.
okay.
Chair Wagner,
Yeah.
Just text me.
Paul Evans, representing House District 20.
Well, let me ask, hold on. I'm sorry, Representative. Ms. Dykeman, what is our order here? Are we taking this bill all the way through public hearing?
Yes, and then we'll have an informational, and then we'll need to reopen on 22.
Okay, so I'll need you back
Like,
in
Just text me.
5 or 10 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay,
text me.
all right. Thank you, Senator. I appreciate it. My apologies. If you could restart.
Chair Wagner, members of the committee, Benny, if he's still in the room, thank you very much for hearing this bill today. I appreciate it. This is House Bill 2964, which really is a small bill, but again, also something I think that sends an important signal. In our office, we call this the Jim Kozachek and Evelyn White bill. Both were janitors in schools in the Central School District. And with respect to this saying about it takes a village to raise a child, I actually think it takes an entire school to educate a child, not just a teacher. And while I have great respect for teachers, I have great respect for the classified folks and the support folks who reach out and help kids in so many different ways that we can't even keep track of it. And I think that it is a right and good thing, fitting thing to do, to recognize the hard work and effort of folks who aren't at least designated as teachers, but quite frankly, provide education and support for folks who are struggling through a K-12 system that certainly is far different than when I went through the schools. And I just commend this bill to send a signal to the folks that are working hard and taking care of our kids that they matter and that we look forward to them being recognized for that.
Great. Thank you so much, Representative.
Chair Wagner, for the record, Daniel Bonham, members of the committee, members of the staff, Ms. Dykeman, Ms. Hurt, I think it's important to recognize you in this process because this is what we're talking about. I mean, the people that do the work that allow other people to do their work. I grew up in a home where my mom stayed home for many, many years. And then as the youngest of 6 kids, when I finally hit school, my mom went to work. And she went to work at Fowler Junior High School in Tigard School District. And she worked with the special ed department and ultimately then ended up as a library assistant and enjoyed all of those roles. She was a teacher's aide for a while in various classrooms as well. And so when I got to junior high, it wasn't middle school back then, it was junior high, 7th through 9th back then. I would get to school at 7 in the morning before the kids would come at 8. And my best friend's mom also was staff. She worked in the front office. And so Patty Boyer's in the front office. Her son Mike was my best friend. My mom worked there. We would get there at 7 a.m. and we would cruise around the school. And we would see the staff doing all of the work, all the prep work that you just take for granted when you enter a building, you enter a process, and all the work that the staff does in this building to get us ready is the same that you see in the school district when you get there outside of the normal working hours and you're not just paying attention to which class you have to go to next, but the bus drivers, the janitorial staff, custodial staff, they're keeping things, even just the lights on, let alone keeping things clean and prepped and ready to go. The staff behind the counter serving the lunches, making sure you're well fed. And again, the care and the compassion that those people show kids. The kids that just need a little extra attention too. It's not just the role that they play with serving their function, it's the emotional support, it's the encouragement that they give kids throughout the day. So it's an honor to come forward and ask you to show appreciation to these wonderful employees. And so I would encourage your support for this bill as well.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Question, Senator? I would say before you depart to caucuses and other activities, I think so many of us can share a family story about classified school professionals in our schools. So,
Yeah.
as you know, I spent 10 years as the legislative director for the American Federation of Teachers and had an opportunity to represent the interests of classified school employees from Portland to Hillsborough to Grant County to Coos Bay and beyond, and got to know and adore so many incredible, dedicated leaders in our communities who are doing incredible things in our schools. But the family story is that I have the ability to do something like this today because my grandfather went through the military, came out, worked as a bartender, worked as a machinist, and then spent the last 20 years of his life in Burbank Public Schools. And he was groundskeeper where my dad went to school every day. And because of that job, he was able to save enough money so that his only child had an opportunity to go to UCLA.
Yeah.
He was the first person in my family ever to be able to go to college. He also was able to earn a pension and retire with dignity. And I think having him as a part of my life growing up, close to me, and just knowing how special that was, put the love of education. He loved those kids in that school, and it was such a valuable thing. That was the bedrock such the bedrock for so many of our schools. So I really appreciate you bringing this legislation forward, and I look forward to hearing the testimony from others today as well.
Awesome.
And Mr.
Yeah.
Chair, if I might, I don't have a family story of a support educator, paraprofessional, but certainly as the parent of a now nearly 25-year-old man with intellectual and developmental disabilities, it was classified staff and support staff that allowed him to be fully included in regular classes all the way through school, that allowed him to develop a love of science and history and literature because he was able to be in those classes and access those things. And I know from my daughters as well, those the people that are working in the front office, Mr. Farley, who was the custodian at Jefferson Elementary School, that was the trusted confidant of a generation of young kids that went through that school. I mean, these are those trusted, known adults that kids need to succeed. So we're just so lucky to have them, and I wish we had more days that we could celebrate and really recognize the life-changing work that these support professionals do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. With that, we'll take